If you don't have a good credit score, you can't have any good debt either.
And I go, yeah, but I kind of wanted that. I like seeing that in the bank. It's pretty. Oh, look at all those little zeros.
But then what if an emergency came up? You don't have an emergency fund. It's like...
Yeah, you would be an aggressive investor. Next, Dave Ramsey bit of wisdom: pay cash whenever possible. Now this is where you diverge, don't you?
So I've thought about this because I've heard that pay cash whenever possible. And when I got my Tesla, my personal Tesla,
Yeah.
I had the thought, should I just buy it?
Right.
Or should I get a loan?
See, now, a normal person like me, if I have the money, I would say, I'm going to just buy it. Now, maybe I'm not normal, though, because I like to own things right away. But you bought a business one, though, too.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking about
All
my
right.
personal
okay.
car.
Stay there.
I could have paid cash for it
Yeah.
and walked away, but I love, I've had so many years of struggle that having money in savings is so nice.
I know, but it's not doing anything in savings unless it's a huge amount.
You're right. I'm only making like 1%.
Exactly.
Money
It's a
market
nickel
rate.
a month for many of us. Yes.
Yes, I'm paying interest. Let's just make math easy. Let's say my car payment's $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Versus paying it cash outright. Having the security of having that in there, knowing, of course, I can make my car payment. I'm never going to miss a payment.
Yeah.
That's what I've opted to do, and I'm happy to pay them the interest for that.
And that is your experience. And I think that's why we're doing this little exercise, is from your experience, from your background, you like, and I'm the same way. If I know I have to pay something off and I have like every year, my wife and I will go, how much should we pay down on our house? And we've done some pretty massive chunks over the years. And I go, yeah, but I kind of wanted that. I like seeing that in the bank. It's pretty. Oh, look at all those little zeros. Mm-hmm. And she'll go, yeah, but think about it in a few years, we're done with this house. Mm-hmm. And we're saving thousands and hundreds of thousands, whatever it is, in interest. But there is something about money in the bank, isn't there?
Yeah. Like it's nice knowing good. At any time, if anything happened, I could pay it off. Or in the case of a house, right? If we saved up and we have, let's say we're buying a $500,000 house and we've got $500,000 in the bank. Like if we took that and we just bought the house outright,
yeah.
But then what if an emergency came up? You don't have an emergency fund. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to have to get a mortgage.
Immediately liquidate
It's like
the
you
house.
can't liquidate it.
Yeah.
But if you've just got a minimum payment.
Right.
And you could, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's tricky for everybody. It's an individual kind of a feel for
being able to pay cash for anything. I mean, that's a good place to be at,
aspire to
know that you could, and then you can make the choice. Like,
Yep.
I think I'd just rather pay the $1,000 a month.
The number crunchers like the Dave Ramseys are going to say you're an idiot because over the course of time and the accumulation of blah 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 blah, you're in the hole. So what? I feel good.
And for them, they're worried about, their investments are getting them 5% per year or 10% per year.
Yeah.
When for me, it's like, you know what I could do? Like, yeah, in the scenario of buying the Tesla, I compared it to money that's in the bank. But when I invest money, I'm investing it in my business. Like I'll spend, a couple $1,000s on a camera and a nice lens, and I'm using it and
That's
I'm leveraging
going to
it.
make you more
I'm
money.
going to 10%.
Yeah.
So the types of rates of returns and investing and saving 1% here and getting an extra 1% there, it's like,
yeah.
I don't play in those small numbers to kind of, what I mean? If I'm going to invest some money and have it be an investment, I want it to at least double my money. I want to get 100% return.
Yeah. You would be an aggressive investor.
But there's no risk. See, I don't take the risk. I'm aggressive in the return that I want, but I don't take big risks. Like I don't go to a casino. That doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, I might hit the jackpot, but the risk it's just speculative.
Yeah. The risk for me would be becoming addicted to gambling because I know me and I'd never leave. All right, next up, Dave Ramsey likes to spout advice, and he should. He's a smart guy. Sure, he's written books, the whole 9 yards. Nate has his feelings. Here's the next one. You don't actually need a credit score, says Dave Ramsey. Is that true or false according to Nate?
That sounds hogwash. Like, if you're going to buy a house, how could you buy a house without a credit score? If you're going to buy a car, how could you buy one without a credit score? So if he's saying you don't actually need a good credit score, it's like,
then you're just
interesting.
cash rich.
You're just you're not going to be a part of society. You're not going to leverage things. Like if you don't have a good credit score, you can't have any good debt either. Like maybe he's saying that, yeah, you actually don't need a good credit score. You could survive and be just fine. Well, you can't get wealthy because the only way that you can become wealthy is leverage.
Right. Yeah, if we were talking to Noelle about credit scores and having one, she would be laughing him out of the room.
Her empire would not be possible.
It wouldn't even exist
without a credit score.
Yeah. All right, next Dave Ramseyism. Make sure you have an emergency fund. That seems like we would agree with that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like that.
I can't argue with that. I mean, that's kind of what I've been promoting is like put money in savings, have an emergency fund before you pay down your credit cards.
Okay, next one. Minimize your expenses. Is there a way to look at the negative of that?
Yeah, actually. It's kind of like that conversation of like, ooh, if you have a coupon, then you can reduce that expense, and if you can get, negotiate this service or cancel that service, but you're focusing on reducing, you're focusing on like having a limited quantity of money. And again, there's the concept of if I'm using a coupon or wanting to get a discount, then the person that is selling me that product or service, they're not making profit. They're not making a return. But if instead of worrying about minimizing expenses, I'm focusing on maximizing my income or my revenue. Does that make sense?
Well, I understand. If one feeds the other. You minimize expenses, you will maximize your revenue. But what you're saying is rather than focusing on what I can cut off and what I can minimize, focus on how other ways perhaps to maximize your profit. I don't know.
So if you've got this much income and you've got this much expenses, if you lower your expenses, what Dave Ramsey is saying is lower your expenses, well then look at this, you've got more play money. But what if you can just focus on this?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no.
So I just think the focus is wrong. If you've got a limited income, then yeah, you've got to focus on that because it's.
Well, I also look at this column over here of the expenses, and you have these things that say eliminate this, eliminate that, take away this service, all these subscriptions, the money you don't even know where it's going sometimes. Okay, that's stupid to not know where your money's going. But if I take away some of those expenses, I also take away, in some respects, not only my quality of business, but my quality of life. Because I have some of those expenses because they make me happy and they make my business go. And that's why I can understand what you're saying. Focus more on being able to maximize as opposed to
Here's an example. So if I wanted to minimize expenses, I buy some groceries that are kind of like catering for the studio house here. So my clients, they can have some chips and guacamole. They can have protein shakes and stuff like that. So if I were to minimize expenses, I would go personally and I would drive to Costco and I'd buy those items and bring them back here. But that would minimize the expenses, but that's my time. And in the same amount of time, I could do other things that are going to get me more revenue for my business, and I can hire someone, or I can use the Instacart to have them. So Instacart isn't minimizing my expenses, it's adding a delivery fee.
Yeah.
And it's, but it's saving me time where I can put my time
I was going to ask you, how did you get the food here? But you answered it with Instacart. That makes sense. Or just Walmart delivery or whatever. Mm-hmm. DoorDash. Just pay the kid next door. Hey, here's $20.
See, but that's not minimizing your expenses. That's
no, but it's maximizing your time.
Yeah.
Next, Dave Ramseyism. Well, yeah, increase your income. What does he mean by that? Of course. Why wouldn't we? How do we?
That's a good idea. That's where the focus should be.
That's a good idea. Increase your income. Everybody increase your and go. I like it. It's like when Steve Martin said how to be a millionaire. He said, first of all, get $1 million and then invest in cardboard. You can get it for like 16 cents a ton. This is brilliant. Steve Martin's almost dead.
Now, I've got a gift for you. Okay, I wrote a book. I published this earlier this year, but it took me 2 years to write. This is a book on how to leverage YouTube to generate leads in your business. And so if that's something that you want to do, I want to give you my book for free. Now, you do need to pay the shipping cost, but as long as you cover that, this is my gift to you. Just go to natesyoutubebook.com. I know if you read this book, you'll really be able to do what I've done on over 50 different YouTube channels and really leverage YouTube to generate leads. I've helped channels produce 7 and 8 figures just from following this strategy. Enjoy.